Hi, grade 5 teachers. We are here to go over the very last part in topic or theme 2, the multiplying with fractions topic. So we're just going to go over the last two essential tasks. Before we dive into those two essential tasks, though, I did want to point out that our dividing with unit fractions has been moved into theme 3 just based on teacher feedback, based on where we're hearing teachers are. We're just going to get a little bit more time there. So don't feel rushed finishing up this multiplication with fractions. So we're going to look at essential tasks 44 and essential task 45. These two tasks both are looking at that standard 5 NFB5, and this is our scaling standard. So I really wanted to point out that these tasks really revolve around students using reasonableness and estimation more so than actually having to multiply. So we're going to start out just like it starts out in the curriculum in Blackboard with this U cubed activity. This activity is this paper folding activity. You can click this link if you want some more information on how that works. You can also jump in to Blackboard if you want to get some more information on that. So in order to do this activity successfully, students are going to need some paper. And basically what they're going to be doing throughout this activity is they are going to be taking their paper. It could be a piece of paper, it could be a Post-it note, it could be an index card, it doesn't matter, but whatever paper they have to have the same size. So I have to have 4 sheets of the same size paper, but I don't necessarily have to have the same size as my classmate. My paper has to be the same size. So they're going to be able to tilt their cameras down to show their paper folding, or they could hold their paper up, whatever works best for you and your students. So just starting off, finding some paper, they're then going to fold their paper into half. How do we know that that's half of the area? How do I know that that's half? Once again, we know that right now we're finding 1/2 of one whole, or we are multiplying, right? Multiplying by that 1/2. Then I'm going to find 2 times. So now I need to construct a rectangle that has a area 2 times the size of my original rectangle, right? Which we know we're just going to have 2 of our sheets of paper, right? Which we have an image here to kind of demonstrate that for them. You can just delete that to reveal, right? So this is what it's going to look like. So hold up hold up their paper or tilt their cameras down. Now we're going to look at a fourth. If I'm looking at 1/4 of my paper, right, kind of starting back with my original rectangle, I'm going to construct, how do I know that it's 1/4 of my whole? What does that look like? What do we notice about the size of that paper, right? As we're going through this, we want students to make that generalization that when I'm multiplying by a fraction less than 1, my paper is getting smaller. Versus when I'm multiplying here, we're multiplying by 4. When I'm multiplying by a number or a factor greater than 1, my piece of paper is getting greater or larger. So our share and connect, we're going to talk about what do you notice about the product, right? Because we're multiplying 1/2 of one whole, or this is 1/4 of one whole, or 1/4 times one whole, right? 4 times 1. So what am I noticing when I multiply by a number less than 1? What am I noticing about the size of the paper when it's greater than 1? I highly recommend plopping some pictures in here that students have, making those connections, making those generalizations, making those conjectures, and there are some talking points down here as well. This video, this interactive video from Ready Common Core is also a great resource. They're going to continue to practice that understanding. All right, let's dive into our last essential task, and this is our last essential task for this theme. Essential task 45. Once again, we're still going to be talking about scaling, and we came off of essential task 44, making all these conjectures or all these rules about what happens when I multiply by a factor greater than 1 or less than 1. So this try it out is really just like a questioning time for our students. So thinking about this big rule that students have either been taught or thought of on their own, that our products are always going to be greater than our factors. And now we know in 5th grade that's not always the case. So we're going to be looking at products when we multiply by different factors of 6. So we are going to look at this table. Here's our factor. Here's our product of 6. And we're going to ask some questions to our students. So kind of just consider how you want them to answer these questions. Maybe it's the chat. Maybe you have a Google Doc. Maybe you have a Google slide going. But we see that some of these products, we can just do a simple, what do you think? What do you see? What do you wonder? Like, right? Some of these products are going to be less than 6. Some of these products are equal to 6. Some of these products are greater than 6. And then thinking about, so these products that we said are less than 6, what do they all have in common? They're all less than 1, right? Our products greater than 6, what do they all have in common? They are multiplied by factors greater than 1. And then our products, if you multiply 6 by a factor less than 1, the product will be. So these are just those conjectures or those rules. This is really taking that understanding from the previous day and kind of reinforcing that with students. So think about how you want to structure those questions, how you want to structure this image. Then they're going to go into this try it out, which consider just sharing this slide with students and they can work on this, but they're really using their reasoning. We're not asking them students to actually do 12 times 11 12ths, right? I'm looking at this thinking, I have 12 times a factor less than 1 whole. So I know, based on that conjecture, based on those rules, that this is going to be less than 12. I have a factor here, 12 times 3/3. 3/3 I know is equal to 1 whole. So I know that this will be equal to 12. So I'm not actually finding those products. Thinking I could take that table, thinking about, once again, what do we notice? This is just solidifying that understanding. What do we notice making that big conjecture about when I multiply by a factor less than 1, my product will be less than my original factor and my number. So thinking about increasing, decreasing, or staying the same. Last but not least, just something to really point out here. None of these pages have been used yet. They're all great. So just kind of select the problems that are appropriate for your students and your students' understanding and learning from Ready Common Core between these pages. And that is all of Theme 2. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for your time. And let us know if you have any questions.